Good morning. I'm Amy Stapleton, a licensed professional counselor and manager of bereavement services here at Hospice of the Chesapeake and the Chesapeake Life Center. We wanted to just take a moment today, especially, to reach out to you, to let you know that we're here, and to talk a little bit about some of the intense emotions swirling around us all these days. Here at Hospice of the Chesapeake and the Chesapeake Life Center, we know a lot about grief. We kind of encounter that on a daily basis. And certainly there's a lot going on in our world these days that is filled with grief. Grief is more than just a physical loss or death. Grief comes when there is any loss or transition. That could be the loss of a job, the loss of a relationship, the loss of an ability or function, the loss of community, the loss of movement, of not being able to run outside and hug the people that you love and connect with the people that mean so much to you. These are indeed days of grief that we're facing. We also know some of the things that help when we grieve, and some of the things about grief that can help us during the days ahead. We know that grief is indeed an intense emotional reaction and comes like a wave, but it doesn't last forever and changes over time. We know that grief can be isolating and that it can have a lot of impact on us physically, mentally, socially, emotionally, spiritually. And when we grieve, we feel vulnerable. Now, with regard to the coronavirus, COVID-19, what we know is that many of us are feeling vulnerable these days, that there is indeed a sense of a loss of control, which is understandable. It's a natural response to the events around us. When there is so much uncertainty, it makes sense to be frustrated by not knowing if you're going to be able to graduate or attend a family gathering or a wedding. It makes sense to be concerned about your ability to care for the people around you, to know if you're going to be able to get the things that you need from the grocery store, simple things like hand sanitizer, toilet paper, milk, and bread. It makes sense to wonder about missing prom and to be simply tired from living with so much ambiguity, to be angry at the entire situation and to be scared. This virus impacts everyone, no matter your stage in life. These feelings are indeed parallel to a grief process. And if you hear yourself in these feelings, you are not alone. And just as it is with grief, caring for oneself and others is imperative. This is indeed a time for empathy and compassion. So what do you do if you can't show up with a casserole or go for a walk with a friend? What do you do if you really just aren't able to stop by for a visit or bring over soup? You start with yourself, and then you help spread the goodness that you've learned during these times to others through a variety of ways. So physically, look at what you can control. Try to eat well for as much as you can. Give yourself access to fresh fruits and vegetables. Be sure to get enough sleep and try to keep a natural routine and daily rhythm as much as possible. Exercise and move your body, no matter what type of body you have. There's a lot of free videos on YouTube right now of yoga instructors, Zumba instructors, people offering their services, even ballet. So consider this an opportunity to maybe learn something new and feel what feels good and right to your body. Relax as much as possible. And I know that's sometimes easier said than done, but there's some simple things that we can all do that help. Stretch. Give yourself an opportunity to breathe a little deeper. One of the things that I personally do is to breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, and then release for 5 counts. Even that helps reset our central nervous system. Meditate, pray, take time to do what grounds you. One of the things I often do here with clients at the Chesapeake Life Center is a simple exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll show you how it works and invite you to join with me. First, think of 5 things that you see around you. Notice them. Say them out loud. Then consider 4 things that you can touch around you. Feel the ground beneath your feet. If you're sitting in a chair or on the couch, feel how it's supporting you. And then 3, name 3 things that you can hear in this moment, my voice being one of them. 2, identify 2 things that you can smell. Maybe it's the flowers, maybe it's a scented candle. And then 1, name 1 thing that you can taste. Perhaps it's a cup of coffee or your breakfast, or maybe what's cooking for lunch. So the simple grounding techniques, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, are things that you can take with you no matter where you are, no matter if you're by yourself or not. As much as possible, try to spend some time outdoors. Remember to look up at the sky. Notice the birds and the flowers that are now in bloom, the trees that are starting to come back to life. Maybe walk up and down your street and wave to your neighbors as you pass. Please be sure during these days to monitor your alcohol intake. That's something that could be a coping skill, but we know, in fact, in the long term doesn't help. Think about maybe creating a new playlist for your iPhone or catching up on some fun podcasts, or even accessing a lot of the services now that are available online at the museums and the zoos. You could sit and watch animal videos or learn about the paintings in Paris. Emotionally, it's important to talk to the people you love, to stay connected to them, either by text or FaceTime. Maybe it's an opportunity to learn a new technology like House Party, which is a free app that can connect everyone in your family. Or maybe you want to use Skype and talk to your friends around the world, or simply make a new friend that you haven't found yet by connecting with a Facebook group. Try to maintain some sort of daily routine and positive thinking. And I know that might sound strange in these days, but we actually do know the benefits of gratitude. For myself, I practice a gratitude journal. It goes something like this. Every day I try to remember 3 things, think about them, and write them down. I use a simple technique. Thanks, help, and wow. What's something I'm thankful for? What's something I need help with? And what's something that amazed me? Being able to see that I've written that down over time makes the days when it's harder to see a little bit easier to face the next. And then finally, I think about Mr. Rogers and what he would say to us during these days. And I think he would say, find the helpers. In these times, there are indeed people around us who want to help, who are able to help. If you're a client of Hospice of the Chesapeake and the Chesapeake Life Center, and you need grief support, reach out to us. We're here to help. We are looking at expanding our bereavement services in a variety of online platforms so we can better be able to serve you in our existing groups. If you are in need of mental health support or in crisis, both Anne Arundel and Prince George's County have crisis lines set up for you, as well as the National Disaster Crisis Line that you can call or text. And we're going to have those numbers available for you in the comments. So know that resources are out there. Please take the time to access accurate information, which is also important these days. You can find a lot of good information on the Centers for Disease Control and other things like important statistics and ways that you can continue to keep yourself safe. Also, check out the World Health Organization as well for some of the things that we've learned from others who have faced this crisis, like us now in this country. Finally, we hope this information has been helpful to you in some way in these times when there is so little that we can control. More than ever, I feel like it's important to focus on the things we can, to reach out to one another, to be kind, to do what we know how to do. So it's with much gratitude that I thank you for joining us today, and we give thanks to the John and Kathy Belcher Institute for their generous support. Thank you.